So, Donald Trump huffing and puffing about Amazon, saying they need to stop getting tax breaks, even though he's come to fame from tax breaks. Well, as you know, Jimmy Dore has done a lot on this. Other independent journalists have done a lot about this. Amazon has a $600 million contract with the CIA. They rarely report of that $600 million contract with the CIA. When they report on the CIA, they often leave out the fact that they have a $600,000 contract with the CIA. Well, guess what? Now Amazon might be getting a big fat contract with the Defense Department. Am I in the twilight zone? Is this not a red light conflict of interest? Amazon owns the Washington Post. If you listen to my Beat the Press premium podcast, only for patrons, we released it yesterday, I went on a whole rant about Amazon and the Washington Post, because the Washington Post is corrupt. Is Amazon the lone frontrunner for a $10 billion Pentagon cloud contract? Okay, so they have a $600 million contract with the CIA, and now they're going to get a $10 billion contract with the Pentagon? And we're supposed to expect accurate reporting from the Washington Post on Russia or anything? Does anyone believe that the Washington Post is not a mouthpiece for the CIA and now apparently the Pentagon, the Defense Department, the military-industrial complex? Next month, the Defense Department is expected to bid out a cloud contract worth as much as $10 billion over the next decade. And industry groups are concerned that only one company, Amazon Web Services, might have a shot at winning. Earlier this month, the Pentagon released draft requirements for its upcoming Joint Enterprise Defense Infrastructure cloud procurement. Ooh, say that fast. Stipulating that the competing companies must be certified to host data at secret and top secret classification levels within 9 months of the award. Currently, Amazon Web Services, which has a $600 million contract with the CIA and recently began hosting classified Defense Department data through another contract, is the only company that meets those requirements for classified data. The Defense Department requirements, quote, will effectively prevent all but one vendor from bidding on this contract, said the IT Alliance for Public Sector at the Information Technology Industry Council in comments made by the tech industry group to the Defense Department in a response to the draft RFP. While ITAPS comments did not mention Amazon Web Services by name, it encouraged the Defense Department to consider a multi-cloud approach to its JEDI procurement, whatever the hell that means. The Pentagon received more than 1,000 comments following its decision to award the contract to a single cloud provider. Last week, Congress directed the agency to justify its decision. So, let me just fill in the blanks for you folks. The decision's already been made. It's going to Amazon. I mean, unless Trump steps in, you're going to tell me that that Amazon, who owns Washington Post, Jeff Bezos, owner of Amazon and the Washington Post, who spent $100 million of his own money to stop a progressive wealth tax in Washington state, who's a libertarian, who they're spending all sorts of money to avoid paying online sales tax, that Amazon has a $600 million contract with the CIA, doesn't affect the Washington Post. Or as Jackie Kucinich, a Daily Beast Washington bureau chief, said on the Sunday shows, if you know anything about big holdings companies, Amazon has nothing to do with the Washington Post, which I kindly ripped her a new one on my premium podcast that was released yesterday. That's patreon.com/Jordan Chariton Reports, if you haven't been told 20 times yet. But now they got, in addition to the $600 million contract, Amazon's going to get the $10 billion contract with the Pentagon. So essentially, Amazon and the Washington Post, they were up the asshole of the CIA, and now they're going diagonally to the colon of the Defense Department. So they're going up through the asshole of the CIA, and now they're going to be latched on to the colon of the Defense Department. TMI? I don't even know if that anatomically makes sense. I think beyond the asshole is the colon, but I could be wrong. What's truly astounding to me about this is how in the world is there not people screaming from the rooftops about this? Can you imagine? I mean, they're calling RT, which on YouTube now, they have a little disclaimer under RT videos that say RT is a agent of, is funded by the Russian government. Why in the world is Amazon doing business with the government if Amazon owns the Washington Post, which is supposed to hold the government accountable? It's insane. Totally insane. And maybe there's some good people that work in the Washington Post. I don't know everybody that works there. And you want to know something? In the 1970s, they broke Watergate. So credit where credit is due. But we're talking 2018, baby. And I've seen more absurd stories from the Washington Post than any other publication. They report that, Russia hacked the Vermont electrical grid. Totally a lie. They didn't retract it. David Ignatius, who's a columnist for them, might as well be literally up the CIA's ass because he just regurgitates as a stenographer whatever unnamed CIA officials tell him and goes on Morning Joe and just basically serves at the pleasure of the CIA. And they helped us go to the Iraq War. Now they've covered up that we've murdered millions and millions. I don't know about millions, but many, I would say hundreds of thousands of people through drone strikes and war. Cindy says, the WashPo is pretty much an ex-newspaper to me. It's a mouthpiece for Bezos and it's his billionaire buzzies. Bingo! Thank you, Cindy. Thank you, Cindy. And I'd really like to get in the field and walk in with a cameraman to the Washington Post and ask them what they think about their parent company getting a $10 billion contract with the Defense Department to go with their $600 million contract with the CIA. We need to stop listening to the corporate media ranting about fake news. Yeah, there is fake news. There is fake news. There are literally fake stories that come out on Facebook and other places. But you want to know something? Got to expand that definition of fake news. Because when a newspaper is literally owned by a multi-billion-dollar corporate conglomerate that is in bed with the Pentagon, the CIA. By the way, Jeff Bezos gave the Clinton Foundation a lot of money, and the Clinton State Department gave Amazon a very, very fat, lucrative contract to help send, what do they call them, Nooks? Or Kindles or Nooks? I don't even know. I'm not tech literate. Around the world. And you know what? Terrific. Terrific that we could send Kindles and Nooks around the world to poorly educated areas. Not terrific that it was a pay-for-play quid pro quo. All I got to say is now the CIA, and now we're going to get our news from the CIA and the Defense Department.